You've spoken about Cuba and Russia and some of the missiles that have been provided by Russia in Cuba. I want to know from you, because the last time this happened, it led to very near nuclear war. Now, if Russia were to repeat that, what do you think would happen today?
That's what America should be thinking about, because Russia can repeat it. And the Cubans will allow them, because the Cubans are in a strategic relationship with Russia, and they've received a lot of support from Russians who, after America imposed an embargo on them. So the whole thing is about this nuclear war, so much that every move has to be properly calculated, because you can trigger a nuclear war and no one wants to engage in that kind of war. But the way America is dealing with Russia is dealing with it in a very reckless manner, and it doesn't take into account the possibility of engaging in a nuclear war.
There have been reports that the US has ballistic missiles in Poland. Why do you think this has not brought the world to the brink of a collapse, considering the statement that I made earlier on that if Russia were again to supply missiles in Cuba, the last time that happened, it led to the near nuclear war? But considering the fact that the US is making inroads and building these bases, particularly this one in Poland, why do you think that hasn't come to a point where we are reaching a stage of a nuclear war?
It is all pointing in that direction, unless something gets to be done. And then, like I said earlier, the elections in America have suggested that in relation to Russia-American relations, there could be a possible improvement of relations which can possibly avoid this nuclear war. It is not in the best interest of anyone. But Russians are not going to fold their arms when they're being threatened. They too are going to start preparing in that direction, and it will not be good for international stability and international peace. Every matter ought to be resolved peacefully through bodies such as UN, that America must respect, must not use its veto powers every time they are not happy with a decision of the majority which seeks to bring about the world peace and stability.
South Africa and Russia are one of the countries that are advocating for a multipolar world. You pointed to this earlier on, and given the fact that the West wants to maintain its hegemony, what kind of ideas would you put forward to prevent Western conflicts that are taking place around the world?
No, the multipolar way is the way out of this, where there is no big brother that wants to impose his or her views on the people of the world. And at the center of that will be to, engage in structural changes in the UN, especially the UN Security Cluster, and do away with that veto power. We shouldn't have one country that has got capacity to just undermine the majority. Even if you vote all of you as one against that country, just use its veto, and that veto threatens international stability. So we need to change the structure of the UN, and the simple democracy that they told us suggests that simple majority must rule. In the case of the UN, you can even say 2/3 if you so want, but let the will of the majority be respected, because now everything else that is being done there, it's a waste of time. As long as this or that country which has got a veto power doesn't agree, it will veto a very progressive, good decision. If the UN decisions were binding, we wouldn't have that war we're having in the Middle East. There are many progressive resolutions that were vetoed. Even Russia, we could have taken a peaceful route that said, let's not expand the NATO territories to a point where we threaten Russia's stability and security and its sovereignty, because it will be forced to defend itself.